Hey there guys, it's me Malorian, and it's time for another Malorian Weekly, and what this one is all about is teaching Warmachine to your kids. And so what I want to be doing here is it's not just a video for my regular viewers. Hopefully if you're watching this, it's because you want to teach Warmachine to your kids, but it's also one that I think you could also be watching with your kids as well. So if you want to bring them in, go ahead. But I think the first thing I want to really describe before we get too far into this is what am I calling kids? Well, really anyone that is really less than 20. I think I'm really focusing this on, depending on who you are, your kid that you're trying to teach your favorite game to might be 10 years old, they might be a teenager, who knows what they are. And so I'm gonna have to make this video for that entire spectrum. So you might actually be like a legal adult where you're living, and I mean, I'm calling the 10-year-old a kid, just like I'm calling the 20-year-old kid, but welcome the Warmachine, and I hope you like it. Now, I think the first thing I want to get into before we go really into the first step of how we want to be teaching Warmachine to you, the kids, and all this type of stuff, is just understanding that this is not just like a simple game. This is not something where it's like, okay, we're going to download this onto the computer, we're going to play it, and you're going to beat it within a couple of days, and then we can put it away. This is a multi-part hobby between the building, the creating, the playing, and there's a lot that goes into this, but we'll leave that to the end. Let's start first with the basics. And I think the very first thing we want to talk about is chess. If you have not played together chess, you and your child, you probably really want to start there. And the reason why I like using chess as that first little starting point is because the whole concept that you have to memorize that there are these different types of pieces with these different type of rules and being able to see when things are in threat. I've kind of noticed that if you go and try and teach Warmachine to people that don't have that chess-like background, they really dislike the game because they're like, yeah, I got these robots, I walk up, oh, and I'm dead. And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't realize what your things did and that I was walking into your threat range. So I would say for the very beginning, put away the pieces of Warmachine, pull out the chess set, and really try and stress the idea that these are pieces that have individual rules that you'll need to remember, otherwise you're going to lose. And with that, you're going to make sure that not only are you watching your own pieces, but your enemy's pieces to know what are the threat ranges and try and leverage that win condition. And the thing is that if the child is not ready to grasp that, they are not ready for Warmachine. So I think that's a very great litmus test before even getting into this, that if you can't really master, and not even master, if you can't really be playing chess, right? If you're a thing where we're like, father and son are playing chess and the father wins every single time, that's okay. But if the child is able to actually be able to know enough that they're not falling for the 3-move checkmate every single time, that's a good thing. Like, okay, you've understand what this game is about and what you need to do with it. So that's fantastic. And once you can do that, now we're ready to kind of look at Warmachine. Now, when it gets into Warmachine, know that it's going to be a game of dice and a game of numbers and also a real game of skill. So when it comes down to this, I mean, there's lots of fun parts in it. There's awesome robots and beasts and creatures and guns and tanks and all these great fun things. But the actual game itself will be a lot of strategy, memorization, and math, to be honest. And I think the big thing that you'll want to know at that very beginning there is just know that you don't have to like it all. Think a lot of this as like, cooking. You might walk into a kitchen and be like, oh wow, I don't really like those pickle things, but those chocolate things, yeah, those are awesome. And you know what? If you were walking into this game and then you start realizing, I really enjoy the building of these models, but I don't really like the game. Or I like the painting, but I don't really like the building. Or maybe I just, I don't even like that stupid painting and building stuff. I just want to play the game. Do realize that this is a multifaceted game and you're allowed to only like different parts of it. But the very important thing here is going to be communication, right? If you're going into this and you're like, okay, I don't want to make father angry, so I better go along with whatever they're trying to teach me. No, that's not going to be where you want to get. The point of this game is to have fun. So really stress the parts of it that are making it fun. And it might not even just be that simple as like painting versus playing. It might be little parts within it. Like maybe in painting, you're like, oh, I really hate doing the small details. I like doing the big broad colors, but when it comes to like dotting the eyes, I just don't even want to do that. Well, that's fine. You know, that can be part of it. Or maybe when it comes to the game, you're going to be like, well, I like playing the game, but I don't like playing with so many models, or I don't like playing with complicated models and things like this, right? Make sure those things are very clear between you so that you're not really just like hitting your head against a wall over and over and over again, and really getting into the things that really are fun and that you really are going to enjoy. All right, we're going to get to pretty much your first game now, and the biggest thing you probably want to be thinking of to begin with is what your background is. So if for some reason you have, the kid in this whole equation is someone that's been playing games for a long time, not just like, oh, I play Monopoly and Sorry, but like very complex games, really into tactical games online, you will then at that point probably want to start a little bit larger. You probably want to start within a few more things, because you don't want to think that if it's just going to be this battle box of like a caster and a couple of jacks versus a caster and a couple of jacks, it's like, oh really, this is all you do? No, there's a lot more there. However, if you're someone that's coming into this and it's brand new, you really should just start with that simple battle box type of game. And with the same thing there's a lot of things going on, right? There's lots of new rules, lots of new models, and so the more ways you can simplify things, the better. So, for example, one of the things that are in this game is a death clock, so that on your turn, there's only so much time you have. Don't use that. In the very beginning, take that away, because the stress of trying to learn the game and do it to the clock is just not really worth the hassle. Unless you got like a masochist family, like we like it when we're stressed and in pain, then sure, go ahead. Go like for 30-minute clocks, whatever it is. But I would suggest you take that part away. Same thing with scenarios. I wouldn't start with scenarios. I'd say we have to learn what the basic rules are, so we're going to take these scenarios away. So we'll get to that with win conditions a little bit later, but I think the very first thing is that, okay, we got a regular table, we're going to say no clock, we're going to take no scenario, we're also going to say no terrain. This is a game that plays with all these things, where you're playing to try and win by killing the other person's commander, by trying to win on a scenario, or trying to win by clock, but the very first thing we're going to try and learn is just the basic rules. Just the basic rules, like how does this game even work? The whole idea that when I want to pick up whatever model here, there is a series of stats that are going to be determining how fast it moves, how good it is at hitting, how good it is at shooting, how good its armor is. All these things what you're going to be learning first. So you're going to be having your caster, which could be, your warlock, your warcaster, your I can't even remember what the infernal masters, whatever it is, that's going to be pretty much the person that's leading your army. They're the general. You have to be very careful with them, because like I just said, if they die, you lose the game. So you'll see a lot of new players where they're going to run up and they're going to die and they're going to get assassinated, and the game's over. Think of it as pretty much like your queen / also king in that chess. Again, I'm assuming you played chess first, but it's this whole thing where this will be your most powerful piece on the board usually, and then also is the most vulnerable in that it's not really that hard to kill, and if they die, you lose the game. So again, imagine in chess, you took your king and your queen, duct taped them together. That's what your caster is in this game. So you're going to have to be very careful. Now, luckily, there's going to be things you can use to try and peace trade before it has to come in. That's where we're going to be starting with your battle group. So whether you're a warcaster and you got these robots you're controlling and they're going to be fighting, or maybe you're a warlock and you got these beasts that are going to be battling for you, that's really going to be the main idea. Now, getting into what some of these things are and some of these stats, looking into it, going across the numbers there, you're going to be seeing things like what the speed is. That's how fast they can move. You're going to see something that says MAT, MAT. That's going to be how good it is at hitting. RAT, rat, that's how good it is at shooting. You're going to see things like defense, which is how hard it is to be hit. And with those things there, what that really means is that when you're going to be trying to hit something, you're going to roll 2 dice, add it to your mat or rat, depending whether you're punching or shooting, and you're going to try and meet or beat their defense. So that's how the game works. Then also past that, you're going to be trying to damage them. So that's why they have armor. And the power of your weapon, whether it's your sword or your gun, you're going to be rolling 2 dice again. And for every number that goes past the armor, that's how much damage you do. Some models have 1 box, some models have multiple boxes, but you're going to be trying to do that and trying to kill them. Now, I don't want this video to be too long to try and get into everything, but just kind of know that's kind of the basis. And then the real idea behind this is it's not just a simple like roll dice game. There's going to be focus and fury, and there's going to be these, basically the magical power of your casters to be trying to influence these things and being able to be like, okay, what if you roll 3 dice for this one thing? Because that's really critical. Your casters also have spells that they can be casting to be trying to be doing extra damage, buff their creatures, debuff the enemy creatures, and also a feat, which is like a once per game thing, which you're going to pop. It's going to do something crazy and powerful, but it's once per game, so you have to be very careful around it. So that's the basics around there. Now what you're going to want to do is with that battle box, go through that game, and during the game, you should really, as a kid, win that first game. If you go into your first battle box game and your parent or whoever's teaching is just like, you're dead, you lose, you might want to say to them, you know what, you're not being a very good teacher, because the important thing here is for them to be teaching you how this game works. So a lot like how before I said, if there's a part of the game you don't enjoy, make sure you communicate and you tell them. If you're playing a game and they're just like smashing into you and killing you, can just be very upfront with them and say, look, this is making me not like the game. Can you teach it to me a little bit more? And the nice thing about this game is that you can rewind. So maybe it's a thing where you walked up one of your jacks a little bit too far, they charge in and rip it apart, or maybe they find a way to shoot dead your caster. You can be like, okay, this happened because you did X. Let's go and return back just like another turn or that last activation, and you can do something different to protect yourself against this. Know that that's possible. There's nothing stopping you from changing it to be whatever you need. So that's a really big part of it, is make sure that every single game you're trying to learn something. Maybe in the first game, all you have to do is to be able to walk up and get past half line. Hurrah! Or maybe all you're trying to do is you're trying to go and learn how to, in this game, you have to punch something, you have to shoot something, you have to cast a spell, and you have to pop your feet. Something like that. And then later on, you can get into these crazy things like power attacks, where all of a sudden you're doing two-handed throws and slams and headbutts. Okay, learn these things in your game. And your opponent, which is that adult out there that I'm looking at you right now judgingly, you should be setting them up for these opportunities. Don't be taking a battle group that's all guns and staying away and shooting them unless you're specifically teaching them how to be using terrain and how to layer their defenses. Don't just be going and ramming into them and destroying them. Set them up being like, hey, look, you could be charging this model here and killing it, but just realize if you charge to this side, I can counterattack, and if you charge to this side, I can't even get to you. Use all these things as a learning opportunity, because again, the point of this game is fun, not for you just to beat up on the kid. So that's really important. Now, we started small, probably, with these battle boxes, but the thing you can do is as you go on, you can grow and grow. And what I really would suggest is that as you are growing, really let the kid decide how they want to be expanding their army based on look. So if you're playing Signar, look across the Signar models and be like, you know what? I want more of those robots. You know what? I want these things with these little fancy guns. I want the things with the swords. Whatever it is, let them pick how they want to expand it. You can give some tips like, oh, well, you know, what are you trying to do? But one of the biggest things I find in this game is that people like playing things that awesome and look awesome. And so that's the biggest thing I'd focus on first. As you're expanding, let them build their list with the things that they want to actually play. And do know that there's a lot of people out there, my kids were the same way, that one of the things they don't like doing is building lists. When I try to sit down with them and actually get them to build a list and be like, all right, we're going to add in 10 more points, what do you want? They did not want to sit down and do that math and do anything on the app. And so if that's the case here, don't force it, right? Again, that communication. Do you like this? If you do, fantastic. Here's my war room. Let me know when you're done. If not, keep it simple. What do you like? This? Awesome. You know, I was shooting to be doing a 25-point game. This is going to make it 27. Whatever. We're going to make it work, right? So just do things like that and build your way up. And I think that once you do get to a level, you know, you're going to have to maybe take off the training wheels a bit, and you won't be reminding them of things, and you're not going to be going easy on them, if that's really what we want to be calling it. But that's really the way that you teach them, right? You don't teach someone to ride a bike by putting them on a full-size bike and pushing them down a hill. You know, you work your way up, where you have gliders, you have tricycles, you have training wheels, and you work your way up. So do know that this is a game that's going to take a lot of work to learn. It's not something you can just walk into and master. And then know that in the end, if you really, really want to try and master this game, there's a lot of practice and learning you have to do along with it. Not just something where, like, if you're trying to become a chess master for the ways that you're trying to move your pieces, but also just the fact that it's a game of knowledge, and it's not so much like, oh, okay, I'm so good because I held my measuring tape so still. It's because I know your rules and I know how to make my models beat your models. You know, the whole idea of how I need to dance around with my knight to get around the pawns type thing when you're playing chess. So if you ever want to get to that level, that's what you're going to need to do. But also, again, like I'm saying right here, you might not want to get into that. I know a lot of people that just like playing theme games. They're like, you know what? We're not going to be playing tournament games. We're going to set this up. It's going to be a board with, it's going to be like a village, and you're going to have this team over here, and you're going to try and come over here and beat this boss. You know what? If that's how you want to use it to play it, do it. The biggest focus of this is it has to be fun for you. So there you have it. A very, very simple primer. You know, if I was to go over and actually cover every single rule, this would be like an hour-long video, which I don't have time for before my kids of my own come running down. But there you have it. If you have any other questions around, you know, what's a good way of teaching, or how does this rule work, or anything like that, please post it down below. But otherwise, we'll catch you later. Bye.